Hey guys, this is CloudWolf from endgamer.net. I'm going to be testing Tech Wars 2 today. I think we did a video about this one a couple weeks back, but the developers recently updated us, let us know they brought out a new version, so we're keen to give it a test for you.
Yep.
So yeah, as you can see, it's fairly similar to the Warcraft 3 Tech Wars, which some of you might have played in the past, where you've got 3 guys on each team, one team on the right, one team on the left, and basically you build buildings which spawn units to attack your opponent. So I'm going to start off with a couple of barracks buildings here.
Yes, sir.
See, I normally like this tactic because it means you can spawn a lot of low power units and overwhelm your enemies quite quickly. Yeah, so you'll see here the enemy's pretty much gone for the same tactic of building marines, and quite a lot of them, as you can see. Now, one of the things which is really important in this game is to make sure that all of your buildings are synchronized. So you'll see here, attacking one at a time, perhaps not so good because you lose the overall driving power. So what I'm going to do here is going to select all my barracks, hold down the escape key to cancel the queue, and then that'll all start the building process again, and it should all spawn at roughly the same time now. Now, one of the things that's really important in Tech Wars 2 is your income. You'll see here I've got harvesters, so I'm going to go ahead and build one of those now. By building a harvester, I'm basically creating an additional one of these units, which will go up here, harvest gold for me, bring it back to my base, and the idea is the more harvesters you've got, the bigger your income. So you'll see here at the moment, I've got my buildings synchronised, and these 3 marines are just going up and just tearing these other marines to bits. It's one of the benefits of having them all spawn at the same time. So you'll see here that my opponent is spawning far more marines than myself. But I managed to keep them at bay because my guys are all spawning at the same time, so a really important part of the game.
Yeah.
Now, to help my marines out, I'm going to give them a bit of firepower with one of these factories.
Yes, sir.
Now, it works in very much the same way, but rather than spawning infantry units, what I get is basically a vulture. And these are much more powerful. They can take a hit, quite a lot of hits from marines, and normally kill these guys in about 2 hits. But yeah, you'll see my opponent has more or less gone for the same tactic. Absolutely tearing through those marines there.
Huh? You want a piece of me, boy? All right, bring it on. How about lending a hand?
Now, it's really important to keep going back to your command center every now and again and building an additional harvester, because what you don't want to do is get to a point in the game where you've kind of neglected your harvesters a bit. You've got loads of units but not very much income. So it's really important to pay attention to your command center over here and just make sure that you've got a reasonable income, and make sure you keep buying new harvesters as the game progresses.
Who wants some?
I'm going to build myself some extra units now, just to give myself a little bit of an edge.
We could use some help here. Who wants some?
And just like before, I'm going to cancel the building queue, so those can restart by themselves automatically.
Better be good. We could use some help here. This better be good. Bring it on.
So you'll see here again, I'm going to build myself another harvester. Oh, it looks like Blue might have just left the game. Ah, I see, Blue's made this fatal tactic of building his buildings in front of his main building. The problem with that is that your main building can take the brunt of like the force attack. By building behind them, it means anyone who gets to your base, they all have to attack your planetary fortress as a priority, which means all your buildings behind get protected. In Blue's case, he's built them in front, which means Red's units are obviously tearing through his buildings before they even get anywhere near the planetary fortress, and that's not a good plan.
Piece of me, boy. How about lending a hand?
Research complete.
Now, one of the key things about this game is holding these central points. You'll see here I've got the pyro pylon, I've got an explosive pylon, I've also got the stealth pylon. And the idea of these pylons is that by capturing them, you give yourself extra upgrades. So you'll see here I've got these upgrades I can give to my marines. You know, I can turn them into a firebat, for example, and to do that I've got to make sure that I've captured the pyro position in the middle of the map.
Bring it on. How about lending a
So what I'm going
hand?
to do there is I'm going to upgrade my guy with a pyro bay.
Upgrade complete.
So you'll see here, holding the middle positions grants you access to different tech trees. So early in game, it's quite important to try and hold these central positions, just to make sure that you get all the great upgrades, and all your opponents are left, obviously, with the basic upgrades, which perhaps aren't always so good.
We could use some armed and ready.
As I've got some spare cash
Upgrade
lying around,
complete.
I'm going to upgrade these marines now.
Upgrade complete.
Now what I've done here is I've
Upgrade
actually just gone
complete.
for the basic upgrade to the mercenary camp. Now that doesn't actually require any tech trees, but basically gives you
Bring it
a
on.
couple of extra stats, a bit more firepower, a bit more health, armour. Just means that my marines will last a little bit longer in battle.
Big job, huh? Need a light. We could use some help here.
Yeah, it looks like Orange has done a similar thing to Blue at the bottom. He's actually built his buildings in front of his planetary fortress, which, you know, as you can see, is maybe not quite a so good idea, because what happens is I'm actually destroying his buildings, and if I destroy his building, that basically removes that marine spawn, so essentially he's wasted that 25 credits.
Goose is getting cooked. Armed and ready.
So again, going back over to my command center, building another harvester, just to make sure that my income is as good as it can be.
SCV ready. How about lending a hand?
Alright, now one of the other things I want to show you is these extra tech trees. In fact, you'll see here, Red's just going to build a Zergling.
Move it.
I'm going to build a barracks here for Marines, and the idea is that much like these central points, you've got the top point and a bottom point. This is the Zerg tech and the Protoss tech at the top here. By capturing these, you obviously unlock Protoss or Zerg units, and you know, depending on what your enemy's building, those give you the extra flexibility to turn the tide of battle. In my experience, I've found that they're not absolutely required to hold, but it is nice having the extra options of perhaps Zealots or the higher tech Protoss and Zerg units, which you might not normally have.
We could use some help here. Go ahead. Gangway, coming through.
Right, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to upgrade my firebat to the next level. Now one of the things about this map is that you've actually got to cancel your queue before you can upgrade. I'm not quite sure why it works that way, but perhaps they're just trying to mimic the old Warcraft 3 systems where that wasn't possible to upgrade with something in the queue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel my firebat, upgrade them to the next level, the Toxin Factory,
Upgrade
Gangway,
complete.
coming through.
and that will create myself a new form of firebat, which I think has some extra stats, extra abilities and things.
Armed and ready.
Yeah, so you'll see here we've captured the Protoss tech now, which has unlocked the gateway. So I'm going to build a couple of these just to give myself some Protoss units.
We could use some help here.
Now one thing to note is that it's not good to completely rely on these extra tech trees. The problem with that is that if you build these gateways and too many of them, then if your opponents take back the tech for the Protoss, then essentially renders these buildings non-upgradable, which might not be the best option for you.
My life for iron.
So much like my Marines, I'm going to cancel the queue for these, just to make sure that they all spawn at the same time.
We could use some help here. big job. This better be good. Armed and ready. How about lending a hand? All right, bring it on.
My life for iron.
Need a light. Yo,
Upgrade complete.
bad news? We could use
Not
some
enough
help
minerals.
here.
Now you notice at the moment all of my units are ground units. Tech Wars 2 also gives the option to build air units.
Armed and ready.
As you can imagine, these work just like they do in normal Starcraft 2. So I built a starport and this is going to start building Vikings for me.
Could use some help here. Armed and ready. Gangway coming through. We could use some help here.
My life for iron.
Go, go, go! Ready to blunder.
We can survive online.
Now as I'm demoing this, I probably have neglected my income a little bit more than I should have done just to keep things simple.
We cannot.
I'm on 6 at the moment, but I think normally what I'd expect to be by this stage is around maybe 8 or 9. I mean, it's a fine balance I find, because you've got to try and gauge it against what your opponent's doing. If they're sending a lot of units your way, then you want to make sure that you can defend reasonably well. But there's no sense of building extra units if you don't need to, unless it looks like you can push for a win.
We could use some help here.
My life for iron.
Upgrade complete.
Yeah, so you'll see these Vikings, they work much like the main game. They can fly, they can go on the ground, which makes them quite a diverse unit. Yeah, unfortunately Tech Wars 2, like most Starcraft maps, is obviously prone to people with not so good connections. But we can wait for this guy either to drop out or to reconnect. I think for the purpose of this demo it shouldn't matter too much, because I'm just showing you what this map's like now. Yeah, just another 20 seconds. Do you guys find that when someone lags, it always feels like way longer than the timer says? There we go, let's drop this guy. I think normally I might have been a little bit more forgiving there, give him a little bit more time to connect, but I think given the situation with the whole recording the video, didn't want to make you guys wait too long. Yeah, so you'll see here that yellow's more or less completely annihilated purple. In fact, you'll also notice that since the bottom base here has been killed, red's units actually spawn and start attacking the next one up. So you'll see here that once purple's base has been destroyed, yellow and red's units will now come up to my lane and help me kill orange.
Can't hold them alone. This better be good.
It's not always the case, but more often than not, if one team has lost one of their allies, then it's pretty much game over for the team. So it's very difficult to make a comeback once some of your team have been lost, because it's quite difficult to struggle.
Goliath online.
Okay, and there's the end game. Hope you've enjoyed watching this one. I'm Cloudwolf from endgamer.net. Come visit us.